Semi-final action at RAC Arena about to get underway as the West Coast Fever and the Melbourne Vixens go head-to-head. The third time they'll meet this season, and for one team, it is farewell to season 2023. And a terrific crowd in once again, mostly in green, and they are on their feet because the Melbourne Vixens and the West Coast Fever are making their way out onto the court. And there is the lady that the world speak about in Janelle Fowler, and she is at the head of our Woolworths team cards for the West Coast Fever. Maddie.
She is so dominant in that goal circle, and she's got some great support around her with Glasgow and Alice Teague-Nield as well. But for me, she's going to have to start really strong, and that connection with Verity Simmons as well needs to fire really early. I know that we spoke in the top, you know, the defenders are going to want to get a hand on that ball and that game possession early on and really stand there on authority. You can feel the energy and buzz in this arena, so I'm going to say they're going to come out pretty intensely and pretty strong.
Well, you heard Simone McInnes in the opener say they love this venue and they're happy to be here and happy to play here. And Lizzie Watson, the captain in at wing attack, will lead the Melbourne Vixens, their Woolworths team cards.
Yeah, I mean, exactly the way we probably thought. It was just that goalkeeper position. Would it be Liv Lewis or would it be Anne Mannix? But they've gone with their true and tested lineup. It's solid, and I expect that they'll obviously be able to get that early start that they really need.
So the lights go up. I'll tell you what, these two teams are not shy of finals experience. The Melbourne Vixens playing in their 19th final, with 3 premierships to their name in 2009, 2014 and 2020. And for the West Coast Fever, who will take the first centre pass, it is their 10th Suncorp Super Netball final. They're known as the reigning premiers, and they have a home crowd here today to get them underway. Heading to the left of screen, and our semi-final action begins. And Janelle Fowler gets the first for the Fever, and that will be one of many for her today. Maddie Brown joins me alongside Stacey Francis-Bayman on the sideline today. Kate Maloney and Lizzie Watson, mid-court duo. Austin, the quick swing, and then an opening of the baseline to Kumwenda, and a good, confident start for the Vixens.
Great patience, using those angles, those triangles. It's a lot quicker to the goal post for the Fever, siding Fowler early and dishing it in, just like that one. But they both teams look on song. They look sharp already in this first minute.
At the top of the circle is Alice Teague-Nield and finds Fowler again. It's interesting you say sharp. You compare maybe this start already to the start we saw yesterday in the major semi-final. A little different. Watson just patiently awaits Bruce
where you were.
All over the back there of Kumwenda.
Well, you talk about the experience, but there's also a lot of international experience as well. So they're used to these big game moments. They know how these first 5 minutes, you've got to harness those nerves and use it to your advantage rather than getting caught up in the moment and maybe getting a few errors in that play.
Look at that camera angle as the ball goes through court, giving you a bird's eye view in to Fowler. I always wonder when two sides start confidently, who makes the first error.
Advantage obstruction, wing defense.
Austin, look at Maloney and the speed. The Jets were on Simmons. Clever roll finds Kumwenda a little closer into the post.
Bit different. Vixens working a little bit shorter with those passes. Obviously to the post rather than that Fever looking long.
Well, yep, loose hands and a wayward ball for the West Coast Fever. So there's the first error off this pass here. Harvey Norman replay, and that's what we call bad hands when it comes to stats. Long ball to Eddie. Through court, Joe Weston. Just the one she's played against the Fever this season. Out in round 1. Watson.
Confident beat, I think, with that mismatch. Obviously, Ariane going back. I expect Vixens to exploit that and maybe dish it in a little bit earlier rather than when Bruce is on Kumwenda.
So they break the centre pass, the Melbourne Vixens take the first little bit of ascendancy here into attack. Kumwenda opening up Maloney. Back space is there, doesn't like it. Gee, under pressure was Austin. And then Bruce loose again, caught behind Kumwenda.
Asking for that sag back from Ariane. Come back, as you see here. Well done, Kira Austin in the Harvey Norman replay to keep it in.
3-5. The scoreline, and 6 penalties already to the West Coast Fever. It'll be a contact call on Kate Eddy, wing defence. Also played her best game against the Fever in round 8 with 41 miss and net points. Best return this year.
I love that from Middies, just racking up the stats on the top of the circle. Back at back, Glasgow.
Stacey Francis-Bayman joining us for the first time on the sideline in a final since retiring from the West Coast Fever, Stace.
Oh, I don't know. I remember starting the final on the sideline last year. But absolute privilege to be here. Best seats in the house, in my opinion. And like you said, the composure being shown by both teams out there on court so far is world class. What I'm really enjoying so far from the Vixens is that, as Courtney Bruce gets a tip and is willing that ball to go her way with an aggressive fist pump. But Vixens showing that composure to take their turnover straight through to a goal. And for the stats for the year, West Coast Fever are elite at goals to game. So it'll be interesting to see if Vixens can take that to them today.
Good on you. Looking forward to your input. Stacey Francis-Bayman, there's that Harvey Norman replay moment with Bruce bottom of screen. And at the other end, the smile on Fowler's face eventually arrives. 4 straight from her. 1 goal the difference. Western, just a short passage of ball play here from the Melbourne Vixens.
Really struggling to get it over that transverse line. You've seen these attackers forced high into play rather than letting those defenders work it down.
Well, more a moment of patience for me, Maddie. I thought that was cleverly done by the Melbourne Vixens. They opened up the Fever defence there just at the end, holding that 2-goal lead. Glasgow.
There's a scrunchie loose. Oh, no.
Can you take the ball back?
It is a scrunchie. I thought they were only around in my era. Back in to play we go. Fowler. Manic's doing a good job to keep her high.
Oh, what a take, Fowler. Double defended. Algo to Mannix as she comes down. But the confidence to just let it go. As long as it's placed up high enough, no one can get within cooey of that feed.
There's your shooting stats for the West Coast Fever early. Fowler, the go-to. Courtney Bruce having a play outside the circle, gets the contact call. So a 2-on-1 for Ariang. Austin at distance, steadies, rebound, goes to the hands of the Vixens. Important moments, aren't they, with the little 1%ers.
And it is. It's just even having Kate Maloney stay on that circle edge. When that loose ball comes, she's in front position. They're all the little things that they need to make sure they execute consistently today.
Melbourne Vixens, just the 1 miss for Austin. And another opportunity now for the Vixens, just putting pressure on the home side early. Western. Maloney looks to her partner in crime in Watson. Kumwenda opening up some terrific space.
Great defence by the Fever, forcing the Vixens wide to the pockets. But the Vixens look pretty comfortable to just work it in. They've got middle options. And it's the punch from the shooter up the middle that's starting to pull that Fever defence apart.
Obstruction, the call. Vixen set the penalty. Has to go back to the line, though, so it's the patience. They're going to make sure that ball puts Kumwenda on extension, though. Well, clever stuff. Maloney, for me, on fire at the moment. We mentioned earlier her best 2 games this season against the Fever. She's number 1 for me on court at the moment.
Absolutely, when it counts and she needs to be there, she's in the right position. She's got a few little pickups. But also she's been confident to let some balls in, which we don't usually see so early in a game.
Well, she's got more space. I don't know what's a good saying. More space than something with a something. I don't know. But at the moment, Simmons is nowhere to be seen. And Maloney, no pressure on her at all. There's the last 10 and the first momentum run going with the Vixens, having the last 3. 10-6 the score. Glasgow opening Simmons, the quick release into Fowler. And they steady at the post. 4-1. Maloney driving through, ignored on the second phase. First wayward ball, first mistake of the game for the Melbourne Vixens.
They've been so dominant, were sitting at 100% on conversion of their centre pass. So great little tip there from Bruce. Long pass in.
You get the feeling that Simmons has got eyes lit up for the moment with Fowler. So they get one back, the West Coast Fever, to the difference.
And that's definitely a part of her game I think she's been a bit hesitant with. So she needs to connect early on this. Show how threatening she can be with the ball in hand, looking long straight to Fowler.
Said the mid-court battle would be of great intrigue today. Well-placed pass from Teague Neal. And as expected, a one-goal ball game. Oh, second phase from Austin. Honestly, you practice that over and over to know that you can turn in your wing attacks there for that.
Absolutely, and that's where they're both dominant. Austin dominates the first phase. Watson gets so much great depth and hits that top of the circle. 1-2 and straight in. That's classical, clinical Vixens at their best.
Makes you feel good when it happens. Bottom of screen. Shy of our first power five of the game. Simmons takes on Maloney, does the job well. Then the feed into Fowler. Well, now all of a sudden Simmons coming into play in attack.
She must have heard you, Steve.
Step
up.
My voice is loud.
Centre, drop the shoulder. No, both players set it towards me.
So the contact on Simmons and just
obstruction, goal attack.
Josh Bowering, the umpire, indicating exactly where it needed to be taken. Good vision from Watson.
It's a quick release and it's nice and high. You could see Bruce's eyes down and she put it in straight away.
Put down to Stacey Francis-Bayman. You're a defender. Surely you're watching the Bruce Kumwenda battle unfold.
You are absolutely right. It is a tasty battle going on down here between the Vixens attack and the Fever defence. What I'm really interested about is when Fever are tying up the Vixens and causing them delay, they're having great release by Kumwenda exiting through the middle. So Vixens already have that combat to stop the Fever slowing them down. But then equally, Fever are showing some positional changes early. Courtney Bruce is coming out, Sunday Ariang is at the back, and it's putting Courtney's hands up and in everything and slowing that ball down for the Vixens, and Fever have got success off of that too, so we've got a game on our hands.
Absolutely we do. The power five now in play. Little wayward moment for the Fever down the far end. And we saw how critical Super Shot was for both sides in the major semi-final yesterday. It was a feast, wasn't it, that last 5 minutes that took us into extra time. What happens here today? Austin steadies, lines up, that's off, but Kumwenda, freedom to take the rebound and keeps the scoreline ticking nicely for the Melbourne Vixens. Out by 3 and their centre pass. Maloney leading our Nissan net points at the moment at 33. Two Vixens sitting at the top. Bruce, little hand on it, follows through. The ball went out of court and the umpire claiming it was off Kumwenda.
Fever. It's a Fever throw-in.
Well, seeking clarity, it is loud in here, Mads.
It is really loud in here. And all it takes is just for a little bit off moment. Players aren't, setting it up in the wrong place for a reason. Just get clarity. Maybe even take that deep breath and take a little bit of the sting out of the game. It has been played at a fierce pace already.
Just over 3 minutes to get us to the first break of this semi-final. Teague Neal hits the top of the circle.
That was really good hands over pressure by Eddie, but she jumped on the pass and just allowed that space for ATN to get straight in and under with a nice front cut there. So hands over pressure, great, but you've got to keep those feet grounded to build that pressure.
Well, Joe Weston called for contact on that first phase there. Just a little bump on Glasgow at the last second. So they'll set this up. Look at that, 13-6. The Fever, though, the ones that have been penalised. And they set a nice, easy triangle play to open up Fowler's chest at the post. And back to 1 goal, the difference.
And looking at that score, 100%, but you can see she's definitely dominant on that left-hand side. So I wonder whether the coaches can see that stat and try and force her out towards the left a little bit for her.
Keep our eyes on that as this game unfolds. Simmons to stand out of play on that penalty. Oh, it's an offside call. So that contest was allowed to play out. Kumwenda backspace, Ariang, the tip in the air, and it goes to the captain in Bruce. Well, she had to hang time to get to that one.
Great work, Sunday Ariang. She saw it, she went up, little tip, chased after it. Came off the hold a bit too early for me with Kumwenda. Needs to hold strong. See on that Harvey Norman replay, that's a little offside there.
Well, down the other end, though, the fever goes. So from the hops of Ariang, trying to find Glasgow, and it'll be a penalty. So she'll go over the arm of Weston. Well, now she'll go over no arms at all. A free super shot approach for Sasha Glasgow. She rocks back and drops a 2. And it puts the West Coast Fever in front. And it'll be their centre pass with 1:47 on the clock. And the first of our HCF tactical timeouts being called by the Melbourne Vixens. And they're a team that doesn't call many, so this will be a vital moment. Let's listen to their coach.
1 hour. There's some good stuff there, guys. Good start to that quarter. Be prepared down in that attack end to be able to work the ball low. Don't lift it up in the air, but use your walks. Use your walks, suck them in, work the ball if we have to. On this centre pass, really, but have a real intent about what you're doing on the line. You're trying to stop somebody, really work hard on that. You won't fire off one when we attack the feeder. Attack the feeder.
People don't sit, I reckon, when you go, if they're in like stationary.
So on
Let's
the move.
deny Alice and make Sasha get it.
And then we're not afraid to attack the feeder and then on the circle as well.
Lots of chat, really good start. We push on last minute.
So just an early settler for the Melbourne Vixens. Not much in that except to say we're going well. Maybe just to take a little bit of the sting away from that big super shot that Sasha Glasgow dropped.
And she talked about that intent in defence. You know, are we having a crack? You know, the hands over, are we trying to dictate them into uncomfortable positions?
So 14-13 is your scoreline. There's the last 3 for the West Coast Fever, one of those being a super shot. Pop them in front scoreline-wise. 1:47 to play out. And look at the antics unfolding. Left of screen there. Fowler now goes up. They're squeezing Joe Weston. And this will go on all game. We're just getting the cameraman to move slightly back. And Glasgow doing the job. Just releases the pressure from being in amongst the 2 Vixens defenders. So here we go into the first quarter break. Who gets a little bit of confidence early in this semi-final? Fowler, simple road to the post. The Fever take the 1.
The body presence of Weston on Glasgow right now. She's not giving her an inch, even when she releases the ball, straight up on there for presence.
Hey, Eddie, opening up the far side of the course. Good drive from Kumwenda. They're all out at the moment. Austin, lovely drive to the top, finds Maloney. This is the spot you want to be in if you want to offload it for a 1. I tried to build it up.
Well, it would have been the perfect opportunity to have another crack.
Not to be. So the last minute, only the 1 misses I keep mentioning from Austin. So very accurate on court from both sides. Simmons, sights, and then the hand from Mannix taps Fowler. So 2 bad hands from Janelle Fowler early in this first quarter. And the Melbourne Vixens here a chance to run and take control of this first quarter. 3 deflections to 1. Austin.
We spoke at the top, you know, you don't get a lot of gained ball when you're playing the Fever, so that's a really positive one to get early. Got a misjudge on the feed there by Watson.
Well, talking of gained balls, right on the cue for Captain Courtney Bruce. 16 seconds on the clock. She wants the ball because the Fever are going to want to score off this. Ariang free. Teague Neal, plenty of time, 10 seconds. They're going to have to go long here to Fowler. 7 seconds. Anstis, big. Fowler, the crumbs. And a drop ball for the West Coast Fever and a wasted opportunity, no doubt. But they'll take the lead into the first quarter with the single goal. So a big semi-final day it is here in Perth. I love a bit of good netball action. And I tell you what, folks, later on this month, The Netball World Cup is coming your way. It begins July 28th, right here on Fox Netball.
Oh, Lizzie Watson, another win.
Playing for your country. It's what you dreamt of as a kid.
Watson, what a brilliant intercept.
It is a rich history of success. We have never missed a World Cup final.
The world netball crown stays in Australia.
We thrive on this pressure.
One to win it for Australia.
Our Australian Diamonds putting it all on the line.
Chasing gold in Cape Town. The Netball World Cup.
With access like you've never seen.
And behind the mic, World Cup winning diamonds to bring you every second of the action. Right here on Fox Netball.
Welcome back, and if you're a Melbourne Vixens fan, that's the moment you might have been very nervous about just in the dying seconds of that quarter. A rolled ankle to Jo Weston. We've watched it on slow-mo. It looked awful. She ran straight to the club rooms and came out fairly quickly, and there she's on the bench getting the ankle strapped. She looked okay when she walked out, but the changes have been rung in. That's our Origin Energy quarter-time update for you. And Maddie, I'm going to get you straight in to talk through what that means for the Melbourne Vixens.
Well, we'll see Mannix go from goalkeeper out to goal defence, and Liv Lewis injected into the game at goalkeeper, possibly a little bit earlier than they predicted. Weston did come in and give him the thumbs up, but still getting a little bit of strapping there on the ankle, but hopefully we see her later on in the game.
So hopefully good news for Jo Weston. Here's the changes to your bottom of screen. And Stacey Francis-Bayman on the sideline will keep us informed as things unfold.
Obstruction, goalkeeper.
So that opening quarter won by the Fever by a single goal. And an opportunity right at the end that was missed. There she is. Very important key, or piece of the puzzle, should I say, to the Melbourne Vixens.
Such quick ball movement there by the Vixens. The quick 1-2 in the hands. It's just off the fingertips. See it side and just keep that ball speed going.
So the Fever, Alice Teague kneeled out strong. Fowler. So again, the West Coast Fever having to bring their big shooter out of the circle a number of occasions. Find their way this time through Glasgow, though.
I don't mind it because it opens up the baseline, and that was a great drive. She penetrated along the baseline and popped up really close to the post.
Variety is the spice of life. Quick hands, Maloney, Kumwenda. Oh, great take in the air over Ariang. Maui Kumwenda. Not the tallest of athletes, but I tell you what, she plays like she's 10 foot tall. 183 centimetres. Perfect hold for backspace passing.
Oof. So close. You can see Liv Lewis sitting behind Fowler, maybe just watching on that hands, maybe trying to move her feet and attack at some lower balls that may come in.
She's no stranger to Fowler. That all played with the West Coast Fever, did Liv Lewis, should I say. Wenda takes a step closer to the post. Maui Kumwenda. Well, both her and Fowler sitting at 14 straight goals. That's the pass in. Get down to Stacey Francis-Bayman.
Thanks, Sue. Obviously, the Fever are on attack at the moment, but what I'm being really impressed by at the minute is Vixens when they have ball. They are really comfortable when they play close together. They're happy just to let that little ball go and to chip and to work towards goal. What I'd love to see from Fever is that opportunity for V's and Zags to either cut off of those short little passes, or alternatively, if they're able to keep them wide and far apart and force those long cross-court balls, which Liz Watson did not want to throw then, for someone at the back to have a crack at.
On cue, Stacey. She was looking cross-court, but she didn't like it. So, goal for goal, as it was in the opening stages of the first quarter. Kumwenda has been trying to drive the energy since the very first goal. Of course, a stadium that is littered with Fever fans. Teague Neal under pressure from Eddie. Has to wait. Good hands, Kate Eddie. A little drop to Glasgow. Quick pass goes in to Fowler with the eyes down for the Vixens defence.
Great hands over pressure, jump at the pass in the Harvey Norman replay by Kate Eddy. That was really good. She had a crack once the ball was released, rather jumping too early and letting that front cup opportunity for Teague Neal.
Again, Bruce, well, Kumwenda doing a great job of drawing the penalties on Bruce. They force just over 60 penalties a game to their opposition, which is the best, as in they're making their opposition contact as such. Best in the league for it. Hardness onto the ball is what does it. Simmons, middle corridor, takes the fake and then overcooks the pass to Fowler. Well, the cleverness of the skill to fake.
It was, and it was the fly, as you see here. Liv Lewis came off. She was close on the body, but she made her second guess how far she needed to put it out into space, straight out the baseline.
So a chance here for the Melbourne Vixens through court. They've had to go to the far side, open up through the middle with Mannix. Clever play using the mid-court. Look at that, 6 balls in a row down the middle, and then they spoil it.
It was a hands-over pressure from Bruce there, who's punching over a little bit too far. That ball needs to be put just in front of her hands rather than above her head.
There you go, you can have another look at it. And then they chase it down.
A little bit too high. Bruce gets a tip from behind.
So now the Fever having to do exactly the same thing at the other end, out wide at this point. They centre up through Fowler, Simmons, and then Glasgow finding some terrific space on the baseline. Yeah, that'll be contact on Lewis. And she's a West Australian kid, but the crowd just slightly turned against her in that moment.
It was a lukewarm cheer.
That's a lukewarm cheer, that's correct.
Obstruction, advantage.
Fowler.
You spoke about it at the top, you know, these both teams bring out the best attacking games in each other. You know, we're only seeing 2 and 3 game possessions, but not a lot of conversion of it. So when it comes down to the crunch, this is where the game might be won. Bruce gets a tip and no one can follow her up. Mannix comes up with the goods.
Well, at the moment, the pickup's going the way of the Melbourne Vixens. They're the worst in the league this season. It's usually where they sit, top of the ladder, but at the moment, they're all over every loose ball, and that's given them a conversion just then. 9 minutes to play out in the second quarter, and we are deadlocked at the moment.
Good pressure by Mannix.
Doing a good job out at goal defence. Let's not forget Jo Weston. Little injury to the ankle at the end of the first, and she's sitting on the bench watching on. Watson swings, Bruce looking, but the quick offload to Kumwenda. And smart play from the Melbourne Vixens. And they put themselves back in front. Do we see her on the court later? Yes.
Barney's great, wing attack.
She's got to run her feet a little bit further onto that ball, Bruce. Kumwenda dominates that middle channel a lot coming out. So maybe having a crack, sitting off behind, making them think that it's free and then attacking like it's yours, running your feet onto it.
Naomi Kumwenda now the highest scorer on the court with 19 goals and another little free goal run. That'll be a contact on Mannix. A little bit of a chop. Glasgow gets up. 2 goals the difference. And the crowd trying to woo this West Coast Fever side on.
Advantage contact, wing defence.
Glasgow.
Contact, goal defender.
Well, you can see the adjustment in Fowler, the way she took that ball then.
Obstruction, both.
Notice that she's had a couple of
tips coming up against her.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's about that intent. You're going up with 2 hands and it's just showing that you're going to pull it in nice and strongly to show the umpires that you were first to it.
HCF tactical timeout called by Coach Ryan. 1 goal the difference. It's Fever down by 1. Let's listen to the reigning premiership coach.
Now they change the structure, which means we have to adjust into a bit more of our chip style, all right? So we've got to find our way into middle corridor, onto circle edge, and then rip the defence, all right? So it might just mean you guys on the reset line, run really active in the middle corridor so we can pass and cut from you guys, all right? But don't get forced out wide. Take your middle line when it's there, so that when the 2v1's sitting on Jay, we get to the edge and then we split it, all right? Just on your drive, you've got to change direction on her. Okay, all right, you're going on a long run with her. and she's good at that, but I do not think she can counteract you if you're going to make the comeback. Okay. Right, so take her and cut back, find your middle corridor. Okay. Right, when they are bouncing around, just try and find the mismatch opportunity. So it's probably not Liv, it's the other one, and then pin and let Liv have no one on her and see what she does.
What did you on ball side?
That's okay, doesn't matter, because we can still go up and down to you, all right? Okay, just make the slight adjustment that we need to our game, guys, but absolute confidence in our skill and strategy. Let's go.
Fever 3, 1, 2, 3!
Oh, I love listening into the coaches. What a privilege it is in our game to get such great insight, particularly if you're sitting at home as a coach. The way that they interact with the players, the language they use. Key messaging from Ryan then.
Well, he said chip style, and I like chips, but it's not the style that he's talking about. He's talking about that short, sharp movement, discipline to circle edge and dominating the middle channel. So he wants a little bit more discipline with the ball in hand so that when they get the 2-on-1 against Fowler, they can actually get it to her. Oh, how ball. Yeah, great defence.
Terrific defensive pressure from the Melbourne Vixens. You can see Liz Watson wanting to release but not wanting to make the error. And unfortunately, the held ball comes her way. And the opportunity here for the Fever. Great pressure from Kate Maloney, chopping the arm, though, on the take. That's the second chop right here on this right side of play. The last one from Mannix. And that one from Maloney.
Goalkeeper, step forward.
So you talk about that double on Fowler. They're working that split circle, sitting off for a little bit. But she did really well in there, finding a body to release a little bit of that pressure and show where the space was for her to receive the ball, and then causing the contact.
Back to the line, 100 gamer in Jess Anstis in at wing defence. Big job on Lizzie Watson. Straight down the middle for the West Coast Fever. And they take the lead once again. Over 6 to play until we get to the big break. Austin and Watson, last 3 to Fever. Lizzie Watson just managing her way through a madness of mess in the middle corridor again and finds herself at the top of the circle.
Vixens love that style of play. It's kind of, you know, you're crowded in one area, but they can work small areas and spaces to get themselves out of trouble. They love that high possession game, and you can see them going to it a lot.
Simmons connecting through the middle and then just chipping away with Teague Neal. Nice hide on the ball from Alice Teague Neal off the circle. The confidence to go over Lewis on that occasion.
It was a great ball to the pocket. Lewis came off ever so slightly, dished it straight in. Weston on the bike. Maybe she's ready to come on. It's that fine line. Do you make a change? Because it's sitting really good at the moment.
Yeah, blow for blow. She wears players down, though. I like her on a netball court.
Rather than on the Peloton?
Yeah, correct. Vixens here again, just the patience, trying to find something to open up. The Fever defence looking. They find Maloney free, though, and then Austin on the ball side opens up, and they steady with the shot. So they weather the Fever defensive storm there, just on the Power 5 siren. There it goes. Super shot wise, we've had 3 attempts, 2 to the Fever, and Glasgow's taken 1, and Austin a miss.
I always think it's really crucial to have a bit of a crack in the second, third, or early in the game. You just also, as a goalie, want to get your eye in and know that you've got the confidence to put it up. Oh, Glasgow nearly gets away with it.
Maddie, spoken like a true mid-quarter you were just then. Tell the shooters to take the pressured shots. On that occasion, Kumwenda takes the smart and simple option under the post. Ticking along beautifully. Not a miss for her, not a miss for Fowler. 21 and 22 respectively. Oh, looking was Liv Lewis. It was courage to go. And then Fowler had to think about it with Glasgow.
Vixens defenders working overtime in that arc.
There's those $1 million, well, maybe not, but ankles close to it, she wishes. Jo Weston looks okay, though. Got the strapping on the ankle. Looks like she'll be good to go when needed.
A little bit stagnant here for the Vixens in their attack, but they're being patient, trying different avenues to go boost.
The hustle coming from Anstis to try and keep the ball in play. It'll go to the Vixens, though. Big swing across court. Maloney opened up. Watson, top of the circle. Good spot to be.
Just in the 2.
And it's in the 2, the penalty. Courtney Bruce pleading with the umpire. Austin for her first 2 of the game. It drops for the Vixens. And it pops them in front with just over 3 to play in the second quarter. Let's go.
Offside wing attack.
Contest was clean. Offside is the call though. So Teague Neal will set up the ball here in the goal third. Simmons.
Construction centre.
Glasgow at the top. The pressure of the Melbourne Vixens defence.
Landing, goalkeeper contact.
Goalkeeper. The contact was the call. In the meantime, the patience, the fork, and the finish.
Oh, over the double defence, that wave defence, she took a breath. Such great confidence to see from Glasgow to just back herself in and go, you know what, I've got this, take a little sip and off we go. As Ansys hits the deck, usually it's the other way around, Watson's on there.
Kumwenda this time, no, doesn't like it over Bruce. So they'll play it around the Melbourne Vixens. Unison net point match leaders, bottom of screen, Kumwenda sitting second, Maloney at the top, both working the ball to each other. Austin, the hustle. Kumwenda down in the back of play, but the contact has been called. Austin for 2, her second in a row. The rebound comes to the Vixens again. Steadies, drops out, rebound to Bruce, 2 in a row. The captain, Courtney Bruce.
Oh, I mean, the Vixens there, as you see here on the Harvey Noble replay, tips, bodies flying to the floor, but Bruce, ruthless to get that.
Well, it was
rebound.
It was a captain's effort, wasn't it? Because she got beaten on that first moment. A deflection on the rebound. It went to the Vixens. She fought again. Well, getting willing, isn't it? That was a late contest by Maloney, and the crowd are letting her know about it.
She's been given a caution by the umpire.
Well, it's for a late contest, so she's grabbing the arm as the player's taking the ball. We saw it right in front of you. You can see it's just a late contact. That wasn't a grab of the arm. That's just over the top and unnecessary. The one prior, grabbing the arm as they're trying to take the ball, right in the nose of the umpire. You can't do that, Maddie.
I mean, these players are so physically gifted and they can contest a lot of these balls, but it's the skill to be able to do it with discipline and also do it without contacting and building that pressure. That's how you get game ball, not by staying out of play.
So the West Coast Fever off the back of the clash moment take a single goal and they put themselves now 2 goals in front. 95 seconds to play out to the big break. HCF tactical timeout, Melbourne Vixens.
What they're doing, and down in that attack end, let's make sure we've still got the movement. We need to have punch through the bodies and we still need to be driving for depth and let it go when it's on. So even though we might be working the ball, we still need that movement. Got to be strong onto everything. Good job backing yourselves on the shot. Yeah. Go again. Okay, next couple of minutes work it simple, strong and definite onto the ball. Have a go too at jumping at the release of the pass.
They're setting up that box in the attack end, so let's just make sure we have someone punching. Have the vision. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Big something. 1, 2, 3, big.
Well, there you go. HCF tactical timeout number 2, should I say, to the Melbourne Vixens. Called around about the same time period, Maddie, and it's been off the back of a big moment by the West Coast Fever.
It has, and I think it's just, pulling it in together. She spoke about an attack. Yes, they're working short, sharp passes in crowded spaces, but they need to get a little bit of separation and depth so that they're not sitting on top of each other and get those punching movements and multiple options to the ball.
So in we go. And we'll watch how both sides play out this final 90. West Coast Fever, a chance to creep the scoreline up. Melbourne Vixens, a chance maybe to take a risk on a 2. We'll see what happens. Teague Neal at the top. Smart offload over the back space while Glasgow's heavily looked after by the 2 Melbourne Vixens defenders. Out by 3, the Fever. Austin, bit of free freedom. Maloney at the top. Baseline, Bruce. Little deflection, front space this time. It'll go to the Vixens, plenty of time.
Big swing across the circle. Using the triangles, the Vixens are trying to open up. I'm interested to see Conwenda only wanting to do the one. She sits at about 61% on the super shot. She's quite accurate.
Plenty of time for that to come later in the game. There's the breakdown from Conwenda, ticking along beautifully. Teague Neal to pressure into the pocket. Glasgow on the baseline, has to go up over a big Liv Lewis jump. Assisted by Mannix, strong rebound by Fowler, another single, 20 to play until half-time. Minor semi-final. The winner plays next week in Sydney, and the loser, it is good night. 11 seconds, they'll have time, it'll be a super shot. I feel like I caught well, it won't be a super shot, a chance, but they'll take the single. And maybe the smarter road it was as the siren goes. So the West Coast Fever, after winning the first quarter by 1, hold on and extend that lead by a single goal, 32 to 30 at half-time. And they've won the first couple. What a game it is, blow for blow early. And a chance to get down to Stacey Francis-Bayman with a player who's had some serious impact in this first quarter, one of the Fever defenders.
Thanks, Gordy, absolutely right. Sunday, we've been talking in commentary about the importance of the battle between you and Kira, deciding who was going to come out on top tonight. Where do you think you are going into the halftime break?
I think I'm doing pretty well, but I think I've got the help of the people around me. So having Jess and Courtney there, those switches in the circle working so well, and I think when we do that, it kind of gets them going, like, where do we go, where do we go? So I think that's worked for us.
Excellent segue. For me tonight, the Vixens, the Fever are putting on variety in the defensive efforts. Do you think that's crucial to take into this second half?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think in our training week, we definitely worked on having variety out there and being able to put some different structures to get on top of them, and I think it's working well for us so far.
And tonight is do or die. The second half, Vixens tend to be a bit stronger. Will the Fever come out knowing that to combat what they've got to put out there on court?
Yeah, so I think for us, we just need to come out and play our style of netball, continue using our structures, continue using our tools and stuff like that. But yeah, just coming out and doing what Fever do well.
Awesome, you're right, you're going well. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Great interview, Stacey Francis-Bayman. Well, when we come back, folks, it'll be our halftime show, and then straight after that, pivot later today, and it is our Sunday Ariang off-the-court feature on Channel 505. And all I can say is, please grab the tissues, because this girl has a story to tell. Well, it's semi-final day here in Perth at RAC Arena, and the Melbourne Vixens are back in Perth up against, I guess, what we would call their greatest rivals of the game, the West Coast Fever. There's been a few Falcons, there's been a few clashes, but the most important thing for fans out there is this is a game that is likely to go down to the wire. 32 to 30, we sit at the halftime break. There's been absolutely nothing in it from start to end. You've been on the sideline. How's your view?
My view is perfection. I'm watching some incredible netball on display today. You really can't pick anything between the two teams, and what I'm really loving is that passion and ferocity that's being shown out there by both sides.
Well, Maddie, when we started this game, I thought the Fever's attack was a little slow, but then they notched into gear. I thought Simmons had a big part in that.
She did. As we said, she was a little bit slow at the start to connect with Fowler, but once she got going, she was starting and seeing and releasing as quickly as she possibly could off that centre pass, as you see that nice one in. I love the variety in Fowler, not always on the hold, sometimes punching forward. It's keeping, as you said, that variety and spice in there and making the defenders have to change up their game to move their footwork to give something different.
And as for the Melbourne Vixens, well, we expected their attack to be short and clinical, and at times they've been under pressure. But for you, Stacey, on song at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's impressive about the Vixens is that they have a preferred style of play, but they're also very mindful of the defensive structures that West Coast Fever are putting out there against them, and they're able to switch to something else immediately. They're comfortable playing that short chip game, working the ball to circle edge, passing to each other. When they're held up, they're happy for the shooter to exit. And then a couple of times they have thrown that long cross-court ball, as we just saw there, and found access to post that way as well.
Well, it's slightly fraught with danger, isn't it, when they do that? But at the moment, it's going okay. Their co-captain Kate Maloney, we spoke about her in the opener and we said that the 2 times that she's lined up against the Fever, she's been at her best. Maddie, how have you seen her first 30 and in particular the challenge against Simmons?
Oh, I think she's definitely won that early on. She's been in the game in attack. She's attacked also in defence, trying to get a few tips in those contests. She's been riding her really tightly, but she's just been allowing that release. We haven't spoken a lot about Watson, which we usually do. She's creative, but as I mentioned, it's a supportive role by Maloney and what she's being able to give as well.
All right, Stace, the match summary with only 2 goals the difference. Anything there that stands out, or is this just simply a blow-for-blow game?
It is absolutely blow for blow. Both teams are executing incredibly high-quality netball. There is really very little to see out there between the stats. For me, what Vixens are doing, which is edging them at the moment, is that hunger for pickups. Fever are getting lots of tips and deflections, mostly through Courtney Bruce, but Vixens are there to pick up every loose ball. If Fever can capitalise on that ball that is out there to be won, also on rebounds, I think they could push the game out a little bit further.
It's funny you say, obviously, about those game balls and pickups. They actually haven't converted any, though. So that's an area where Vixens definitely need to pick up, that if they're getting to those pickups, they need to convert it.
Well, what we know, girls, is it's a semi-final, isn't it? You can tell the way this game is playing out. What we're going to do now, folks, is take a look at some of the entries that showcase why netball is important to everyone who plays the game, whether it's valuable life skills they've learned along the way, the community and support of their club and teammates, a multi-generational love of netball within families, or just the sheer joy of the game. These moments are all about showcasing. It's not just about winning, it's about every girl's end game. And we'll be announcing the winner thanks to Suncorp during our grand final broadcast. So make sure you stay tuned to see who that is. Well, that lady on screen you should know. That's the assistant coach, Tracy Neville, and oh my goodness, was she not elated when they won their semi-final last night. And I tell you what, if you want to see more of her, well, she joined the 4th quarter to talk about her impressive sporting family, Thunderbirds ending their decade-long finals drought, and her take on shooter Eleanor Cardwell. Make sure you catch it.
I've seen something that I've never seen in Eleanor Cardwell. The way she leads, the way she communicates to the players, the way she is taking on that real leadership, captaincy without actually having that particular role. I've never seen that from Eleanor Cardwell. She's always been the underdog within a team. She's had people lead her, and I think out here she's learned some valuable lessons which will only make her stronger going into the season after.
Well, Cardwell's going to say, I'm worth my money to win the game, the Adelaide Thunderbirds, and she drops it in. Oh my goodness, Eleanor Cardwell has done the job for the Adelaide Thunderbirds. Thanks for joining us on semi-final day here in Perth. RAC Arena hosting the elimination final, the minor semi-final, and the goodbye to one of these sides for season 2023. The Melbourne Vixens trailing by 2 against the West Coast Fever. Plenty of pressure in the first 30, and it's only going to get more as this game unfolds. We're going to head straight down to the Melbourne Vixens bench and chat with their head coach, Simone McInnes. Simone, in true semi-finals fashion, blow for blow, how are you feeling?
I feel pretty good. I think it was what I expected that first half. It was tough, it was rugged, lots of pressure. We've got to continue that from our side for this next 3rd quarter.
Simone, in that 2nd quarter, you spoke about the attack getting a little bit too close together. You want a bit more separation, multiple options. Did you speak about that at half-time and how you're going to implement that?
Yeah, it's just definitely, even though we might be working the ball, we still want that drive for depth, and we still want that movement or that punch to it. We just got a little bit too short. too predictable, but we still want that movement, that drive for depth to create the space and options.
And we're seeing Liv Lewis remaining on court. How is Weston? Will she be back on court?
She's okay to come back on.
I'll tell you what, it was a decent ankle roll. Watch that on the replay when you get home. All the best, Simone McInnes. Get back to the job that you do best.
Thanks, Gordy.
Simone McInnes, the head coach of the Melbourne Vixens. We get to see her again next week. We'll wait to see. Terrific vision just of Fowler and Lewis.
Having a little bit of a giggle, a bit of an elbow here and there.
Well, they've spent years training against each other at West Coast Fever, so they'll know each other inside out. So we get into the second half, a very important quarter for both sides. The Fever have won both quarters so far by a single goal. I think that accounts for not a great deal at this point in time, because anything is possible. Austin steadies, along nicely. 6 from 7 from her. Just 1 from 4 in super shot territory. Glasgow, eyes directly for a shooting partner in Fowler. There's the time in possession, 46-54. Interestingly, the 2 games played this season, it was 47-53 at the end of the game. So it's on target for the way these two sides play.
It's so hard to separate them, but we've talked about it. It comes down to those 1%ers, those little things that converting of your gain ball, your pickups. It's just, it seems like in this game, we're just waiting for someone to break it open.
I'm not sure that's going to happen. I think you're going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, folks. Lovely little passage between Fowler and Simmons. Neil Fowler scoring goal number 29, the 1 miss. Averages 54 a game. The last time they played, she was at 48. Watson. Backspace use. The way they get that ball over someone like Bruce to Kumwenda, who's nowhere near the same height as Bruce, it's brilliance from Kumwenda and great placement from Austin.
Well, you just know that they would have trained it, and you look at those circle feeds, Austin and Simmons sitting in the 20s, and Austin in there as well, and Maloney. But you talk about it's that hold, letting the ball come over your head, then releasing. But also the execution of that pass into space. Mannix looks like she's copped one to the head.
Oh, yeah, she has, and she doesn't. Maybe the nose. Yeah, so it's brought the tears to the eyes. I don't think it was the head. The doctor will be watching that closely to see it was a ball to the nose.
Yeah.
I don't see any need for any concussion protocols to take place there, but I'm no expert.
But we see Joe Weston in the coach's box, coming straight on.
So I've got my eyes in the back of play here. So the doctor has just left the Fever bench. He is the neutral doctor for the game, and he's just now making his way to back of house to see how Mannix is. We'll keep Stacey Francis Bayman all.
Liv Lewis gets a little tip, scoops up the crumbs. Now, I mentioned it, this is where Vixens have let themselves down. They haven't got a lot of game ball, but they haven't converted. Now is the time to convert this one. Reward the effort of Liv Lewis in that one.
Top of the circle, Watson. They need this opportunity to convert off the hand of Liv Lewis. That goal is hers. 1 goal the difference. Let's go straight down to Stacey Francis Bayman.
Impressive defensive work there by Olivia Lewis, and great presence of Vixens to be able to capitalise off that gain and take it to goal. That's been the only difference to me so far in the game today, although I think I've already said something else was the only difference, but never mind about that. Vixens' ability to take the few interceptions and possession gains that they're getting to goal is critical in this moment. If they can back it up with a centre pass, even better.
Stace, how's Mannix going?
Yeah, she is looking very uncomfortable in the nose region. The doctor obviously went over, checked her out, had a word, made sure that there was nothing happening in terms of her head. I think Simone McInnes was quick onto it. She doesn't want there to be a second lost in this game. Threw Joe back out there, but I think we'll see Mannix back out there in the game as well if we need.
Great, thanks for your update. So good news for the Vixens fans. And good news because they've now levelled the score, and Kumwenda, 28 from 29. And I tell you what, when she's up and about like that, that is good news for all Victorians.
He's asking a sea of green to give her a bit more support, but they're not going to get behind you.
I don't think that's going to happen. Glasgow connects front space with Fowler. So again, starting the quarter as the first to have blow for blow. The difference this time, though, is that the Vixens are 1 up this quarter at 6-5. There's your breakdown on your screen.
Similar to that first quarter where all of a sudden they just got one and then they went on a little bit of a 3-goal run.
Another penalty going to Courtney Bruce. It is penalty number 11. Seen more than that, but am I right? 11? Yep. Certainly cleaned herself a game up in that second quarter.
She averages around about 17 a game.
Yep.
But the best part about it with a combination with Ariang is she brings it down a little bit.
Clean.
She's so clean.
Smart work by the Fever, working their way through to post. Ticking along again. Just 1 goal at a time. Fowler's breakdown, and Bruce puts the hesitancy into Lizzie Watson, pleads with the umpire.
She put the hesitancy in the umpire as well. She wasn't sure which way to go there for a second.
Austin, top goes to pocket. That'll be a contact on Simmons.
Whole time, centre stand still.
Well, I don't think Liz Watson should be able to readjust her position a metre around the circle. She should have taken the penalty where the penalty was set.
Well,
how does that work?
If Simmons moves over, then you just move her back.
Yeah, very true. Moving on. Teague Neal thought about the pocket and then puts Fowler under a bit of pressure.
Goes back to the ever-reliable Jess Ansis on the transverse line.
She is ever-reliable, isn't she?
She is. She just does the work. She's a bit of an unsung hero in this Fever lineup.
Next to the keeper, step forward.
Vice captain playing her 100th game today. And they get the win. Let's go. 6 goals from her. 2 of those are super shots. Halfway through the third quarter, no side giving an inch. Maloney, nice triple dodge from Austin, opens up the Fever defence and then opens the baseline up. So Kira Austin starting to click into gear here in the third quarter, sitting at 55 Nissan net points. Equal highest on court at the moment. Oh no, Courtney Bruce at 58, creeps over the top. There you go, Bruce at 58.
That split circle by the Vixens is really putting some hesitancy in the feeders for the Fever's mind. We can't go long to Fowler. So it'd be great to see Glasgow get in the circle a little bit quicker to draw one of those defenders off.
Nice little deflection. Goes to the Fever though. Sasha Glasgow, surely an easy offload to Fowler. Liv Lewis doing everything possible. The footwork is right up there in 5th gear, trying to confuse the space. So the Vixens again into attack, congested at the top, but that's the way they like it.
A positional swap here by Bruce and Ariang.
Go, 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 says Lizzie Watson. Sorry, into the back space.
Yes.
She wanted Kumwenda, and she wants it again. Ariang, little bit of a late contest. Helps Austin to her feet. And the shooter-to-shooter offload works perfectly for the Vixens. And we are all tied up again. There has not been a centimetre between these sides for some time. At the most, a 3-goal run.
No, not at all. And as I said, I think this third quarter, this is where one team really needs to break it open.
I think they both want that.
The super shot coming into that territory in less than 50 seconds, that is going to be the time to see who can really stand up and maybe put a little bit of scoreboard pressure on the opposition. You got to go for it now.
I think they're trying, Maddie. Oh, gee, well, there's going for it now. 3-ball play, cross-court, second phase, straight into Kumwenda. That is as good as it gets. And Ryan won't like the way that went for the Vixens. In the meantime, oh, well, that was just sheer luck from Simmons. Had a little bit of presence to go high and long. Well, contrasting centre pass plays from both sides.
Anything you can do, I can do better. You look at the Harvey Norman replay. As I said, that connection, she sights it early, lets it go. I mean, she was caught off guard on one foot, but still got the delivery there.
Backspace again. Watson getting some real comfort in finding Kumwenda.
It's when that mismatch happens, when Ariane comes back, they seem to find that little bit more space overhead.
Now 5 in play, Stacey Francis-Bowman.
Yeah, just picking up on Maddie's point about the action in the circle there with the Vixen shooters. We're seeing two very different styles of play in terms of what goes on in the Fever circle and the Vixen circle. What I'm loving about the Vixen circle at the moment is their ability to open them up with a swing on the edge, catch a Fever defender on the back and find easy access to the post. Also, we're seeing a few screens at the moment, so that stock of the Vixen shooting circle is absolutely rising.
So the first goal, a single. And Kumwenda puts herself into range, doesn't like it though, and swings. Lizzie Watson is growing in strength and confidence. Kumwenda this time for her first 2, bounces in and out, and Courtney Bruce takes another critical rebound off the back of a super shot. The captain trying to lead from the front.
The second Kumwenda caught that, she did not look confident to shoot it. But a great rebound by Bruce on the Harvey Norman replay. Willed herself to get there.
Well, they're stuck here in the middle though, the Fever, and it's all due to very good defence from the Vixens. That'll be an offside call though. Simmons, yeah, look at her. There's not a lot of movement from Verity Simmons. She is being warned by Kate Maloney. Gosh, get a camera on those two. It's intriguing. Little contest from Eddie, and a nice high release from Teague Neal gets the Fever the single goal. And 44-42 the scoreline, so 3 minutes 13 on the clock. The smallest of breaks going the way of the home side, and it's called a HCF timeout for the Melbourne Vixens. This is an interesting 3 minutes to play. Let's hear them.
Everyone's hiding, Daisy. That's right. You know how long it took them to get that ball down court? Because got pressure. That persistence. So keep that up. Took them forever to get from down here down to the other end. That's the work that we need defensively. Stay in play though. Stay in play. Yeah, that's it. All right. Let's let it go and go for it down here and attack. Keep those options. One over the line, driving through.
The Vixens know how critically important the road to the final break is. The Fever with the last 2 goals, just the smallest of shifts, and that's all there's been in this third quarter.
And you talk about that pressure, it is building, it's building on the shooters. In defence, you can see them trying to be more persistent. Hands over, every single ball is contested with a body presence on it.
So, the West Coast Fever, chance to get a little moment here in front. Wayward ball from Fowler. Simmons finds the strength to pull it in, and then it lands with Glasgow. 2 to her name to date. And she's going to get another go at it. Somehow landed on her backside, 3 metres from the circle.
Just a little bit of a push on the landing.
Well, how important is this moment for Sasha Glasgow? Well, she knows how important it is. Sasha Glasgow, super shot, number 4.
Now the pressure's on the Vixens.
Plenty of time though, you need to race through this. There's still 15 minutes to play after this quarter. That's off the foot of Simmons. To the Melbourne Vixens. Hunting Glasgow, gets a tip. Well, the Fever are having a little run here. High ball into Fowler, but the obstruction on Western indicated by the umpire. And a small little grin on the face of Dan Ryan as he says, take the one. 5 goals the difference, Maddie, the biggest lead of the game.
Well, this is the moment for Fever to try and see whether they can push on. Run with this momentum, run with a few of these lucky little tips and calls. And really put the Vixens under immense pressure to have to shoot some super shots of their own.
Glasgow out, working with Simmons. Look at the run from Glasgow. Working west and wide, and it allows the high ball into Fowler. A minute 25. What do the Vixens do? Do they take a 2 to try and alleviate some pressure off them in the final quarter? Or do they take a 1 here? Swinging cross court to open something up. Not a great deal. Austin wants it from the top. She finds her way there. Kira Austin. Wow, a clutch moment from the goal attack. Suncorp super shot drops, scoreline back to 4.
Great take there. Patience here by the Fever, putting in some balks.
Well, here we go. Yeah, patience from Simmons to find Glasgow. She knows she's got a hot hand. Oh, big rebound. Joe Weston, 2 hands on the ball. I'm not going to underplay the importance of rebounding in this game. You saw Courtney Bruce at one end and Joe Weston, that was critical. Watson across court. Austin again to go 2 in a row. Critical for the Melbourne Vixens.
Oh, Bruce gets a tip, but it's a contact by Kwenda. You talk about the importance of rebounds. It's also the importance of these critical moments. We talked about the 1%ers. Not much is getting back.
4 seconds on the clock. They need to go long. Anstis to Fowler. The siren will beat her. So will the shot. Well, gee, what a big third quarter it panned out to be in the end. As much as 6 goals, but back to 4 and 15 minutes left in our minor semi-final. So much to play for both sides. And then we're going to keep you excited because after the game, our mid-court sensation from the Magpies, that is no longer Kelsey Brown on pivot. That'll be live on Channel 505. What a dynamite. And all I can say is I hope we see her in season 2024. Don't go anywhere, folks. Big game coming away. 15 minutes semi-final action here in Perth.
All right, cracking third quarter from every single one of you. Again, accountability for your own role, which is bringing out the best in yourself and in each other. So stay true to it, stay committed to it. It is reaping the rewards. Great job, all of you. Well done. Awesome. Great 15 minutes of sharp and punchy. Sharp and punchy. Drive, cut, drive, cut, drive, cut. All right, keep your vision into Jay. Keep the Fever tempo going too. That's your role, tempo. Run that ball back. Let's go. All right, really well done. Great stuff.
Well, that was our Origin Energy quarter-time huddle. Were that the last words we're going to hear from Dan Ryan in season 2023 when it comes to break time, because they were positive, they were energetic, and everything the West Coast Fever will need?
Absolutely. He was up and about. We got to every single player and gave them one thing that they were doing great, and then one thing more that they can do a little bit more to bring this game home for them.
Well, the Melbourne Vixens still well within this. 4 goals the difference. They've played 3 premierships and 4 premierships and won 3, and they will know how important this final 15 minutes is. And the good news for them, as Bruce just puts a little hand on that ball out of court, the good news for the Melbourne Vixens, this is their best quarter by a mile.
Yeah, they come home really strong. On comparison, the Fever sometimes tend to fade out. So will the cream really rise to the top here for the Vixens?
Well, that's a bit of cream for Kira Austin, putting in goal number 9 for her. She's had 2 super shot success moments out of 6 attempts. Little clip of the feet. Kira Austin, though, helping Anstis back and a little tap on the back. Love that.
Contact Vixen centre.
Simmons. Glasgow. Oh, gee, what a take out of the air. Ripped from Fowler. Gee, what an adjustment from the first quarter. There you go, 40 goals leading on court. And Winder with 32. Austin starting to get a bit of volume and a bit of confidence.
Just pushing out those shots a little bit just to get that, you know, as you said, that confidence in her to shoot a long range if she needs to in the super shot time.
An easy one, but it was under pressure between Teaknield and Glasgow. The Melbourne Vixens out looking.
Well, the interesting thing on these stats, Sue, is that not one player is over 100 net points. It's a real consistent, broad team effort by both teams today, all having moments where they win their position but then have to grind it out and try and get momentum back.
In true Vixen fever style, isn't it? It is. People talk about it's a great rivalry because they play brilliant netball against each other. 3 goals. Glasgow and Fowler connect outside the circle. Simmons strong take in the pocket.
Goal defence contact.
And Glasgow drawing the contact on Weston.
I think if it stays close, or you know this buffer continues here for the Fever, it's going to have to come down to some coaching master stroke here from the Vixens. And when do you bring Mundy on to give a little bit of extra spice and impact?
Oh, Lizzie Watson, what a recovery from a little trip down into the backspace. Kumwenda strong. Here's your goals from Gaines. Clever. Maui Kumwenda, presence of mind to do that. Let's head down to Stacey Francis-Bayman. Eyes again on Fowler and Lewis.
Yes, thanks, Gordy. A really intriguing battle going on there inside the circle. I feel like when Olivia Lewis first came on, she was causing all sorts of havoc, making the West Coast Fever attackers second-guess themselves with her excellent footwork and ability to get up and contest in the air. I think now we're just seeing a little bit of a miscommunication around timing of when she's challenging outside the circle, and equally missing the ball when it's in the air. Her ability to contest when it's there is perfect, but at the moment she's not getting out and up. We have seen on the sideline Mannix change that goal defence big to a goalkeeper bib, so keep your eyes peeled.
Yep, that's the move, and she walks into the rolling sub-box, so Lewis will be coming off in just a moment. Last words going to Mannix. Oh! Mismatch on the pass between Austin and Kumwenda.
And in back play, we see Mannix come onto court for Liv Lewis. This might be the injection they actually need to get some hand on ball.
Ariang, quick swing out wide, goes to the line. Great cut from Teaknield under pressure from Eddie. Oh, gee, it's just it's mouth-watering, isn't it? Every battle on the court is being fought right through to the last second. There's that moment. Sunday Ariang just smart to let the ball go out. Bruce at the line. Finish a quarter breakdown. Fever winning every quarter. And we've seen teams win games by winning one. West Coast Fever have done that once against the Vixens this year.
Those passes are just too spot on from the Fever. You see Mannix come off the body, work her footwork around, try and attack at the ball, but it's just that little bit too far out of her reach.
Play from Watson. Good swing, a little deflection from Ariang. I was going to say, yeah, definitely a Vixens ball. Almost looked like the umpire was going to call that the other way. Little antics, a few antics going on outside with Anstis and Watson.
And down the other end, even the Vixens defence, again, we see Mannix come off, come back on into goal defence. Liv Lewis staying on in goalkeeper. Just need those high hands to try and attack and I think get some intercepts.
Well, we called Lewis off, but it wasn't. The bib swapped. I thought she had the goalkeeper bib on and then it swapped.
Yeah, Mannix came on to goalkeeper, went straight back off, put the goal defence back on. Ah, boy, she's so close. They are so close. And this is the thing with defenders, you've got to stay patient because when that moment comes, you still got to attack and still got to go for it. That moment will come.
basket down to Stacey Francis-Bowman. You were watching all of that rolling sub-action happen. What do you think?
Yeah, double rolls, triple rolls, it's all happening from the Vixens. For me, I thought initially there was a really great moment where Liv came off and received some coaching and then was going to go back on there because she does have that ability to win ball for Vixens, which is what they need. But then we also saw that swap of Mannix re-entering back into the goal defence. And actually when Weston was coming off, she did have a little bit of a limp. But you can't leave anything out there that's going to even cost half a percentage. And Mannix out the front was doing an excellent job earlier. What we will need to keep an eye on as well, though, in terms of the rolling, is Mundy warming up on the sideline.
Yeah, absolutely. Really well picked up. I saw that just as she was going off. Jo Weston's done a terrific job if, in fact, she's been able to come on that court because we saw that ankle roll and it looked terrific.
Oh, a miracle to even get back out there.
There's Hannah Mundy, we mentioned. Does she come on? We know that she can impact, absolutely. In the meantime, though, the Melbourne Vixens need to be clinical in attack. And they are under pressure from a West Coast Fever that look like they're hunting everything at the moment. From Wenda, out in the pocket, will swing, definitely. Backspace, baseline opens up beautifully again. Timed movement from Kira Austin. Sneaking through.
We've seen this happen time and time again with these two teams. You think a team's got a deficit and then all of a sudden it comes back.
Oh, I feel like I'm right in amongst the action watching that. Oh, and look at the action. Well, that was unbelievable for Mannix. Gee, the smarts to hit that ball and hit it at the right time. Look, it's just a belt of the ball. Oh, gee, an important time for the Melbourne Vixens. They need this goal. Emily Mannix coming on the court to impact in a goal defence and does just that off Fowler. For the difference, Melbourne Vixens centre pass.
Great goal attack.
You hear the crowd starting to lift, trying to will the Fever to get a game ball here.
Terrific play, just almost alleviating a little bit of the pressure off the Vixens then on that play. The Fever now, maybe just a notch of pressure on their shoulders to convert here. Simmons, look at the box in the middle. Glasgow breaks it open but has to go back to the line. Hunting, Glasgow, Teague Neal. Well, also the Fever patient.
Yeah. As you said, both teams defensively shutting down that middle channel, but credit to the attack for both teams because they're willing to go side and work a different avenue to post.
Fowler sneaking in now to our Nissan net point match leader. Little tip from Simmons, Vixens ball. Through the middle, Watson again, so notching up the possession stats. It'll be a contact on Bruce.
Goalkeeper, you're out of play. Reset the penalty.
Goalkeeper out of play. Reset the penalty. And the shot drops in. Kira Austin now building her volume up to 12.
Not only seen interesting battles on the court, it's been the facial expressions of the coaches off, I think. They've gone from comfortable to excited to tense to panic.
I think the players are doing that, as is the crowd, as is all the fans sitting at home and watching this.
Goal defence contact.
Contact on Mannix. So we are nearing the final 5 here of this semi-final. How will it play out? Who do you think will take the win? We saw what 5 minutes did in a major semi-final last night. Took us straight into extra time. Ariang, the contest. Strong hands from Kumwenda and back to the line under pressure here. And cleverly work their way out of it, the Vixens.
Trying to get into a position. But happy to go with the one.
Hannah Mundy can't sit down on the bench. She is up on her feet this entire quarter. Simmons. Pressure now from the Melbourne Vixens. I tell you what, Sasha Glasgow was being warned by Mannix. Teague Neal has to go high and to the front of Fowler as she steps around Mannix. and delivers another one for the West Coast Fever, and notching up now her half century at 5-0, 4 short of her season average.
Well, the defensive pressure is definitely lifting from both teams, but there's also fatigued bodies out there. Kawenda not happy to shoot it, swings it.
Well, definitely fatigued. Kawenda again doesn't want it. They want Austin at the top, and they found her. So important from Kira Austin. And she brings the score back to 2. Well, the Fever have been in this position so many times this season, and unfortunately for them, more times than not, haven't got it right, going down by a goal. How does this one play out?
On the flip side, the Vixens have won some really close ones.
The missed shot and a chance now for the Vixens with 3:30 on the clock. They need to be so clinical in attack here. For the Fever, they need to hunt and contest.
This is where that mental fortitude comes in, and you just got to put whatever's happened before aside and focus on each play-by-play.
Austin with Kawenda out, goes the give and take. Watson goes to the ground. They want 2 to level the score. Kawenda out. And it'll be a contact right at the last moment on Bruce. Austin for another one from range. Oh, and the big rebound again to the captain. They've been so important today. Ariang, a steal out of the air, my goodness.
Oh, their bodies are flying everywhere. They're having a hustle in every single contest.
Well, that is a Courtney Bruce goal for the West Coast Fever. Look at Ryan on his feet. Absolutely screaming to his side here. 2:27 on the clock. Gee, it's just down to the smarts of every player on the court, isn't it? Ariang hunts. It'll be a contact. Bruce will be given the choice in the circle. Goes to Austin.
Bruce again with a little tip. Captain Courtney Bruce is a big game player.
Could that be the moment for the Fever? They'll need to get it through court for the Vixens. Defend, defend, defend. Courtney Bruce, I tell you what, a big game player in the last minute. Plenty of time though for the Vixens, but the Fever here, they can milk some of the clock. They'll take a single off a contact from Lewis.
Because it's their centre pass next. Smart play here by the Fever.
Steadies in from Fowler. Dan Ryan saying smart. Take the one, take the one. The scoreline with 1:29 on the clock is for the difference, and the Melbourne Vixens call a HCF tactical timeout. Roll the dice, Simone McInnes.
I still see time. So that means the opportunity is there. We have to go for it. We have to have a look outside here. They're going to play the ball around. Let's have a look at those whammies on the transfers. But let's move that ball quickly. If you need to do a bit of a switch so that you can be sitting back there to take that, then do that. This game is not over.
Let's go!
Let's go!
Let's go! Plenty of time! We've been confident, we've been brave, we get ball, we're going for those throughs. Ball and deep, have a bloody fly. Hey, all together, believe in us, let's go! Big something! 1, 2, 3,
Well, there you go. That had to be the biggest hype as possible from Kate Maloney, because this is the moment that spoiled off the hand of Courtney Bruce. Look at the rejection, the timing, the smarts, and it gave the Fever a goal and a centre pass. So here we go. We are down to 1:29. The Melbourne Vixens have to defend with their hearts here. The Fever have to play with smarts. And one side will stay alive and one side will say goodbye. Here we go, Fever. Simmons. There's your extra time if needed. Have a read. I'm going to call the game.
No, I'm just going to take a deep breath.
The Fever go to Fowler and she takes the one. It's 5 the difference. So for the Melbourne Vixens, it's run it back, go direct and go the super shots. Eddie has to go long. Mannix, vision to the post. Has to take the risk. Does it, and it goes to Ariang. Well, the Fever here, they get to play with some smarts. Straight through court to Fowler. Oh, the West Coast Fever. Gee, they won a premiership on this court last year. And their crowd are on their feet. 44 seconds to play, and the West Coast Fever have won every quarter so far. And they are finished in this game with some absolute confidence and ripping the Vixens apart, aren't they? 20 seconds to play out. Well, the Melbourne Vixens, they fought through this game, but it is going to be the end of their season. Kumwenda with a final run at the goal. Not to be, but Courtney Bruce, she's been the absolute gun today for the Fever. 3 seconds on the clock. Goodbye to the Melbourne Vixens.